welcome. How are you today? And thank you for joining me on Inspire to Achieve Global TV. And we are once again in the executive suite. So, how are you today on this? Well, what is in London a very sunny Monday? So, has your week got off to a great start? Have you fulfilled some of the things you already wanted to fulfill for the week? Or are you just starting to warm up and ramp up? And let's see who have we got on with us today so far. So say hi so I can see who's on and where you're joining us from. So I can see Inspire to Achieve TV. I'm not sure which one of my colleagues that is from Inspire to Achieve TV. Hi, Josine. Thanks for joining. Hi, Malik. Thank you for joining as well. And do remember to like, share, and comment and invite other people to come on and join us as well. So, yeah, well, today's been an interesting Monday. My week has got off to quite a good start, really, because I started out, hi, Sheldon. I started out this morning at Lord's Cricket Ground, and it was, hi, Beata. It was really a business breakfast that was hosted by NatWest, who you may know is the sponsor for women's cricket in England. So we had the whole of the winning England cricket team with us this morning as well. And it was a really lovely meeting because it was a breakfast meet whereby you had quite a few businesswomen in the room and some businessmen as well. So I won't be sexist. And as I said, the whole of the rugby team that came in. And okay, she'll probably tell me off for sharing this, but it was quite funny because a colleague who's actually invited me along to join her, we were taking some pictures first thing in the morning, and we were just doing our own thing. And one young lady went past with a t-shirt or polo shirt on, and my colleague turned around and said, "Oh, do you mind taking a picture for us?" So she took a picture of us. So the day's got off to a really good start. Hi, Deborah, Chester. Hi, Sabrina. Hi, Serpa. Thanks for joining. So the day's got off to a really good start. And it's actually given me food for thought because I've changed what I was going to speak to you about today, just slightly. Because what we were looking at this morning is the parallel between being in business and building a business and being a sports person. What are the similarities? What are the parallels there? And it was, very interesting to see that, they run side by side. Because, for example, if you want to start a business, you have to have, as let the cat out of the bag, vision. And the same thing goes for going into sport, because normally if you go into sport, it's, you start with an interest or a passion. And some of the young ladies were sharing this morning that for them, they'd always done sport of some sort. And, cricket was always, a male sport. So a lot of them, when they started playing, and it was deemed to be odd that, girls don't play cricket. This is a man's sport. But there was something about the sport that they enjoyed and they loved. So that they carried on, they honed their skills, and they did have vision as to where they'd like to go. And it's the same thing with you. If you're in business or you're starting a business, you have a vision, you have an idea of where you want to go or where you'd like it to go. So, there are some real parallels, like two treks running. There are some real parallels to that. So maybe, us in business, we can look at sports personalities and look at what they do, look at their training, look at, how they set their goals, for example, and see, well, how are we setting our goals? Are we, doing something similarly in that we have a time frame? So, in the sporting, there's a sporting calendar. What's your business calendar? How do you plan your business? So if you're a new person starting out in business, where do you see yourself in 12 months' time, in 36 months' time, in 5 years' time? If you then have the 12-month goal, for example, what are the steps that you're going to take that get you towards that end goal in 12 months' time. So you may have sort of mini tournaments, shall we say, that take you up to the championship. So if we looked at business in the same way that we looked at sport, how would you map out your business? How would you plan? And do share your ideas, because I said, this is about a conversation. This isn't just about me talking to you. This is us having a conversation together, us as business people sharing our experiences, learning from each other, and deciding. So I'm just going to see some of the comments that have come in already. So we've got some hellos. So thank you for your hellos. And is one of my Inspired to Achieve colleagues has said discipline. And it's true. It's the same thing for business and for sport. You have to be disciplined. And that did come up this morning because one of the young ladies was sharing how, although she wanted to do well as a batter in the team, she still wanted to enjoy the lifestyle outside. So she still wanted to go to the pub. She still wanted to have fun when she wanted to have fun. But in order to be at the top of her game, she had to be disciplined. She had to, scale back on the leisure activities, scale back from going to the pub and having a beer, and look at her diet, look at her regime to see that she was doing everything that she could do to be the best at what she was aiming to achieve. Now, she'd had lots of ups and downs whereby she didn't quite make the mark, or she crumbled, or she lost focus. And it was only through developing that discipline muscle that her game started to improve. And she realized that she wasn't in floods of tears, when she's taken off of the field. And it's the same thing in business. Sometimes we're not disciplined. We say we want the success, we want the sales, we want the new customers, we want better rates from our suppliers, we want to go into new markets. But do we really do the work to get us there? Do we really take the necessary steps to go to be where those customers can find us? To advertise what we do. And I can hold my hand up that sometimes I have to be prompted to advertise what I do, because I get so caught up in the doing that I'm not always advertising to say, oh, this is what I do. So there may be, clients there that I could be helping, but because I'm so busy doing and not saying, then they do not have the opportunity to be aware of and understand how I can help them. And that may be the same for you. So it's something to consider. Are you showing up in the way that you need to show up so that you can serve the customers that are waiting to be served by you? And Marcia's saying hi. Hi, Marcia. So we've got people viewing from Essex, from Croydon, from Rochester, Kent. So thank you for being here. Thank you for joining. As I said, keep putting in your comments, ask questions as well, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability tonight. Or if I haven't got the answers for you here and now, I will find out and come back to you. So this is a conversation, and really I'm looking at how do we align ourselves? If we were to be a sports person in business, what sport would our business be? And at what level would we be within our sporting career? So another thing that ties into is having that goal. Whereas I mentioned that, okay, you made 12 years, well, that's nice. So I'm projecting your business 12 years on. So 12 months, 36 months, 5 years down, like 10 years down the line. What do you plan for that business? Do you plan to be working in that business throughout that time? Do you plan to build the business to a level whereby you can hand it over to somebody else to take on, that you can franchise, that you can potentially sell the business? Do you want to scale the business? So what plans and ideas do you have in mind for your business? And what are you putting in place to enable you to make that happen? And something else that came up today was really about focus. We mentioned discipline, but some of the young ladies were talking about when they're on the pitch and everything's going on around them. There are some days where the focus is spot on and they're able to really just be in the game, be in their zone, and deliver. But then there's other days whereby everything around them just seems to be flooding in, and there are the distractions. And doesn't matter what they're trying to do here, all the things that are going around, they're fully aware of it. And sometimes it's helpful. And I suppose, again, if it's a home game, and it's so last year when they had the finals, quite a few of the girls were saying that, oddly enough, when they went out to take the field for the final game, the nerves weren't the same as in previous games. They were ready, and it was almost a case of, well, I've come this far. And if I've come this far, I've done okay. So I'm just coming out here and I'm just going to do what I need to do. So the nerves weren't there. And it's quite interesting, because how do you find that when you're in business? Do you ever have a time when you're just in flow, for example, and things just seem to be right? You just seem to know what your next step should be. Everything's just lined up and it seems easy. You're not worrying. You're not second guessing yourself. You're not overthinking, but you can just be there in the business and do what needs to be done, and actually enjoying it as well. Because one thing I always talk to people about is, do you enjoy what you do? Because if you're not enjoying it, maybe it's time you start asking yourself some questions. Firstly, why are you not enjoying it? And then secondly, if the reason why you're not enjoying it is because you actually need a change, or it's just not sitting right with you, what are you going to do about it? Because sometimes we can be doing something because we want to prove something to somebody, but that our heart's not in it. And if your heart's not in it, will you really be doing your best? Will you be delivering at your highest possible performance level? Or will you just be going through the motions and living in hope? Hope that something changes. Hope that something better comes along. Hope that you suddenly do fall back in love with this business or this idea. So you have a choice in terms of, do you stick with something just because, or do you keep that fuel of your passion alive and keep going and keep going and keep going? So it's something for you to think about, something to ponder. I'm just seeing her. Hi, I did say hi to you, Marcy, didn't I? So I'm not ignoring you. So let's see. Hi, Tesfa. Thank you for joining. And as I said, do keep sharing and liking. So, and putting your comments in, any questions, I'm happy to answer it. Any questions around business mindset, what do you do when challenges come? Right, Therese has just said, so Therese saying, I've heard that a healed mind doesn't need a plan. The plan comes to you. True flow and the path of least resistance. Yes and no. I think a healed mind is able to focus better. Yeah, I'd say a healed mind enables you to focus better, enables you to visualize better. And therefore, when you're visualizing, there's probably more power and strength in terms of, as if you believe in the law of attraction, you attracting the things towards you that you need, but you still need to have an idea of what it is you want to do, what it is you want to put out there. So the plan comes into the next step, because again, you still have to decide what that next step will be that you take, because you have to be able to interpret the ideas that come to you. So let me see if I can say this in a straightforward way without confusing you and me. So, for example, a healed mind, you're in that right place, you're in alignment, should we say, and you go into your space whereby you visualize, you think about, you feel whatever it is you want to achieve. And in that feeling and knowing, as you're visualizing, you're actually planning, because you're seeing it in its steps, you're seeing it in its reality as it's come to fruition. So it's not that you're physically sitting down writing and drawing that plan. you are actually creating the plan, but you're creating it within yourself and with your subconscious, as opposed to sitting down vigorously thinking, oh, what should I put down? What do I write? What do I write? It's coming through you. And I think that's probably what you were saying, Therese, in terms of the plan comes through you because you're in that space that you're in sync with where you're supposed to be. So I hope that's what you were saying. I hope that I've explained it clearly. If not, do repeat back in the message in there. And yes, I love you too. And it's when you're coming back to the UK, you know, we miss you. Right. So Inspire to Achieve is saying we have to give ourselves more credit to acknowledge our progress, and we need to review our journey on a regular basis. Yes, I totally agree. And that's one thing that I do say to my clients. When you actually have a success, no matter how small, congratulate yourself, treat yourself, because each time you treat yourself, that's a reminder of how far you've come. It's a reminder that you have value in you. It's a reminder that you're worthy and that you are making progress. So each success you have, treat yourself. It may be something as simple as going out and buying your favorite chocolate. It may be as simple as going for a manicure. It may be a massage. It may be a meal out with friends or family. It may be that you cook a beautiful meal for the family and you all sit down together and have it. But you make a point of doing something that acknowledges what you've achieved. And I also say journal it, because when you look back in your journal, that was a good reminder. And I haven't got the cards here today because in the journal card it says just that. Actually, I've got it, I might have it on my phone. That's a reminder of how far you've come. So let me actually now see. Didn't bring the cards today, but I have my trusty app, so I shall have a look for it in here. And I'll just read that one to you on journaling because it does tie in with what we've just discussed. So journal. Keeping a journal is a practice that enables you to chart your progress. Sometimes when life seems to take over, you can lose sight of how much you've achieved. Aim to keep a journal that at least records daily accomplishments. Wow. So that just ties in with that idea that, you know, marking and giving ourselves more credit. And I'm coming back to it. And again, so reviewing your journey on a regular basis, because sometimes we do far more than we give ourselves credit for. But we get into this headspace of, oh, I've got to do more. I've not done enough. Thank you, Sheldon. The mobile app, you can get it in the App Store and you can get it in Google Store. And it's actually called Value. So it's VALYOU, and you can download the app. It hasn't got all 52 cards. It's got the original 48 in there. So there are 4 that aren't in there, but you can download the app. So thank you for that, Sheldon. Right, and Jacqueline Francis again says, always celebrate the micro wins as well as the macro wins. Yes, and you know, we should do, because if you work hard, why shouldn't you acknowledge yourself? And rather than looking out to somebody else to acknowledge you, you should be the first person to acknowledge yourself. And I think the more of us actually acknowledge what we do, in a good way, not in a boasty way, not in an arrogant way, but it's just that, yeah, you've done good. Well done. Tick the box. You've achieved this. Go on to the next thing. The more you do that, the more you actually find that you can do and you want to do, because you do feel good about yourself. And one of the things I always say is that as people, we should all, each day we should have a reason to feel good about ourselves. And can you imagine if all of us had a reason to feel good about ourselves every day, what the world would be like? And why shouldn't we? We're awesome people doing great things. So why shouldn't we feel good about ourselves? Hi, Constance. Thank you for joining. Who else has got a message that I haven't read out? I don't want to miss anybody's comments because there's some great comments coming through today. So thank you for sharing and participating. So if I come back to the conversation, for those of you that joined a bit later, what I'm discussing today is the parallel between running a business and being an athlete or a sports person, the discipline, the effort, and what it takes for both, because there's some parallels between the two. And I was at a business breakfast this morning with where the UK women's cricket team spoke, well, members of the team spoke and shared some golden nuggets, and we were able to draw that in line with the business women that were also on the panel. One was a solicitor who then decided to become a restaurateur. She's now on Netflix. And the other lady is the lady that started notonthehighstreet.com. So some useful and very insightful conversations this morning at breakfast. So something, what is this? Thank you, Marcia. So something else that came up today was this idea of being in business, and even when you're doing your sport, of support. Now, the support could come from family, it could come from team members, but whether you're in business or you are, training to be a sports person, you always need some level of support. Now, in business, it could be that you have your team. It could be that you have your family members. It could be that you have friends that support you. And quite often when you start out, you may be, doing your business solo, but you still need that support network around you. You still need some level of, who do I turn to when the challenges come? Now, if none of your friends or family have been in business, do you find a mentor? Do you find a coach? Or do you go and read motivational material? Do you listen to motivational material? Do you read books on your subject matter? There's all different ways to get the support that you need in business, but you can guarantee that you need some level of support in order to help you deal with the day-to-day, whether it's a case of you're setting up the business, or you're trying to get clients, or you're sourcing new suppliers, or you're doing your back office work. There's some level of support that would be required. And it's, how do you go about getting that? How do you know that you're getting the right support? So these are some of the parallels between being in business and being a sports person, because in sport, we know that there are coaches. We know you've got the managers. Oftentimes, family will be the first people that support you when you go out on your initial journey. And then on top of that, you've got sponsors. So there are so many different facets around that support mechanism that enables you to perform, that enables you to do what you need to do on a day-to-day basis. But it's up to you to ensure that you get the right support so that you can deliver and you can flourish. So that's something else. So again, from today, just get yourself a piece of paper, or if you prefer to do notes on your phone or your iPad or laptop, just write down all of the support that you have right now to help you progress your business. So say we've spoke about goals earlier on and where you want to be in 12 months' time. So in order to get where you want to get in the next 12 months, what support mechanism do you have in place that's going to ensure that you get there? Because sometimes, we have it all up here, but it's when we put it down and we start thinking about it and we think about the different areas and the different aspects that enables us to really see, well, where are our gaps? What is it I really need? What is it I'm doing that could be improved if I sort out the right kind of support? So these are some things to consider. And as I said, my idea is that when we're here, I give you hints and tips that will help you grow. And if you also sharing with the group and the rest of the people viewing now and those that may view on the replay, we help each other to grow and evolve and develop, because you need a community around you. And this is what the Executive Suite is. It's a community of leaders who want to progress, but don't want to do it on their own, because they don't want to be the only one at the top, because it can get lonely up there on your own. So I hope that's useful. Let me see. Okay, so Sheldon is there saying that it's a good question. A list of mastermind group members, a list of coaches. Thank you for that, Sheldon. And it's true, because I know for myself, I have my mastermind and I have my go-to people that I know will always support me and I can support them. And little things that I may not see, they can see. And likewise, there may be things that they haven't seen that I will see. And along the way, I have coaches and I've had coaches. As I was having a conversation with a good friend last week, and I just happened to mention that the cards that I'd produced, I actually finished them off when I was doing the Bob Proctor coaching program, because I had already started writing them, and I joined the coaching course in the August. And one of the first things was, well, what do you want to accomplish in the next few months? And I thought, oh, I'd love to finish the cards. So I set a date that I wanted to finish them, which was the end of the October. And then I just got to it. So all the ones that I'd already written, I had in my book, and I just had to consciously say, right now, sit down, put aside time every now and again, get into flow and write another card. And by doing that, having that date in mind and go back to discipline, having the discipline to sit down, get into my space, and then let the words come out, I was able to finish writing the cards by the October. In fact, I actually published them in the November of the same year. Yet I'd been writing them for 1.5 years. So it just comes to show, when you've got the right coaches around you, you can actually achieve more than you realize you can in a shorter space of time. So that's a little tip. So thank you for that comment, Sheldon. That was a good nudge to remind me about that. And yeah, actually, this is a good one, because something that came up was that each victory leads to your next challenge. So again, one of the girls, it was Tasmin Beaumont, who's their lead batter. She was saying that for her, when she's there on the pitch, and at the time you may have a victory, but when you finish that match and you go off, you go back and you review the match and you look at what you did and what you achieved and where you can improve and what you can learn from that experience. So although during the match and as you finish, you're on a high, but when you have finished and you start reflecting, you're back down on a low, because you're then assessing and learning and growing so that the next time you can play better. And it's the same thing in business. Each time you have a victory and you overcome a hurdle, overcome a challenge, it's preparing you and propelling you for the next one. Because if you're growing, you're always going to get another challenge and a bigger challenge that's coming to you. And sometimes, or a few of you on the call, I know we've had the conversation before, in that when you say you want something, be sure that that's what you really want, because you're guaranteed that life's going to send you some challenges to test you and to make sure that what you said you want is what you truly want. Because if you don't really want it, those challenges are going to take you out. Those challenges are going to be seen as an inconvenience, and you will not be bothered to rise to the level because it will be too much. Whereas if that vision that you have, that goal that you say that you're after, is really what you want, that challenge is a stepping stone, and you will find a way to overcome it, because that's where you're heading. You're heading for that goal. So this challenge just needs to move out the way so that you can get to your goal. So as I said, each victory leads to the next challenge. And let me just see how we're doing for time, because I can chat away and forget about time, which we don't want me to do today. So have we got any more questions? Let me see. As I said, keep commenting, liking and sharing, because the more people that can join and come on the platform and see what we're doing, the more people we can inspire, the more we can all grow. So, and that's the idea on here. It's about growth, and it's for all of us to grow, all of us to be inspired and to inspire others. And that's what the Inspire to Achieve Global TV platform is all about. So let me then see what's the next thing I want to share with you about today. So there were so many nuggets that came through today. So I'm just trying to give you the pertinent ones that really relate to you and your business. So another thing that came up was to do around, I'll call it exit strategy. Because what we were talking about is, as you know, as a sports person, your sporting career is quite short. Maybe 10 years, it may be 15 years. But most sports people that come to elite level, they have a relatively short career. So what do you do beyond that? How do you plan to go beyond your lifetime? Now, I mentioned to you earlier on in terms of your business. Are you growing a business that you want to be in for the next umpteen years? Are you growing a business that you can scale up? Are you growing a business that you will then create franchises around? What is your end goal for that business? What is it that you are building a business for? Now, if you're somebody that's building a business because you want it, not quite a job, but it's something that's going to give you an income, that's going to give you an income for as long as you can remember, that you will still be working in that business, then you may not have an exit strategy. But if you're a person that you're growing a business, you're building a business, you want to get it to a particular level, and then you know that once it's got to that particular level, you can sell it. And if you're a sports person, you'd be retiring from the sport. So if that's what you're wanting to do, have you got a strategy in mind? Have you, in fact, got a strategy in place? And for some of you who are just starting out in business, you may be thinking, well, what's she talking about? I haven't even started yet. The business hasn't gone anywhere yet. So why is she talking about exit strategy? But as I'm sure it was Steve Covey that said, begin with the end in mind. So if you know when you start your business, where you want it to take you, where you want to take it, and what you want to do with it, and what you're setting it up for, what you want it to do for you. If you're clear about this and very clear about it, you will have an exit strategy in mind. You will know that you potentially say you want to build it to be a, I don't know, 10, 20, 50 million pound, dollar entity. And when it gets to that, it's then at a level that you can say, sell it. Then what are you doing to put that in place? What are you doing to make it attractive? What processes, structures, and systems do you have in place to make it attractive, that somebody will see its value, and decide, yes, that's a business for me? So this is something to consider. I'm throwing lots of little bits out there, and I can go into more detail on all of them. But it's really, today is just about us having a conversation. It's us sharing ideas, looking at ideas, and really seeing our business as its own entity. And my background is with dealing with larger organizations. So I do sometimes go into the jargon. But, a business, especially if it's a limited company, is almost like a person in its own right. So if it's a person in its own right, how is that person growing? As humans, we start off as a baby, well, an embryo, then a baby, we become a toddler, we become a small child, we become a youth, a teen, whatever, and then we grow. So it's the same thing with your business. Your business is initially your baby, but even that baby of a business then has to grow. So if you say you start off as a solopreneur, but as your business starts to grow, you more sales, there's too much for you to do all by yourself. You then start to take on staff. So as you start to take on staff, you then have to let go of little bits. So some of the things that you did, where you did everything, you then have to let go of one bit. And it may be, for a lot of people, one of the first things they let go of is the bookkeeping and the finance side. So you let go of that. But then once you've let go of that bit, then, are you the best salesperson? Okay, you've got to get someone in to do your sales and your marketing. And then what's the next bit that you let go of? So then there's all these little bits. So your baby is now growing. And not just the fact that the money that's coming in, but the team is getting bigger. and you're more hands off. You're no longer the one that's doing the school run, should we say. You know, you've let somebody else take hold of baby and do bits with baby. And that's the same thing where your business is growing and growing and growing until the time when it becomes mature. Now, when it becomes mature, what do you do? So these are all the things to really sort of take on board and think about and see where you're placing yourself. You know, do you want to be working for the rest of your life, or do you want to build something up that can just generate an income for you that you don't even have to be in the business? So what is it you're building? What is it you want for yourself? And how do you plan to go about it? You know, have you tapped into your support system? Do you now need to go out and find a new support system that's going to facilitate this growth and you moving on? So I've shared some ideas and tips for you. Just keeping an eye on time again. Oh, we've got a few minutes left. So, you know, this is some of what's come out today. So let me just see if there's any more comments that I need to answer before I start to wrap up and that. But yeah, enjoyed some of your questions and the thoughts today, because it's been really interesting to engage and just see where people are in their business. Actually, before we wrap up, it'd be really good for you to share where you are with your business. Are you at the startup stage? Have you been running for a couple of years? You know, just share in the comments where you are in your business. I like that one, Marcia. So Marcia's saying, I want my baby to grow now. Yeah, bookkeeping needs to go, go, go. Okay, bring it on, Marcia. You know, you have to have that vision and that in mind in order for you to make that happen. So, you know, let your baby grow now so that you can start to hand things out. And I know you're a very talented lady, a multi-talented lady. So really now give yourself the permission to sit down. And if you haven't already done so, because I might be making an assumption here, if you haven't already done so, sit down and just map out all the facets and elements of your business, because I know your business is multifaceted. And how is each part of your business working, and how does it knit together? And where can you be more hands off? Does it still need you in there to be doing everything? Exactly. So yeah, so again, as you said, manual labor needs to go. So what are you going to put in place to make that manual labor go? That's the question. You know, what have you got in place, and what more do you need to put in place so that manual labor can go and you can then manage the business as opposed to be working in the business? And therefore, when you're managing the business, your relationship with the business then becomes different as well. So that takes you to that next stage, that next phase of how you juggle it. So where I mentioned before with having your team, you're then responsible for the team, for them to deliver. And the good thing is, because you've done all of the roles, you know what your expectations are of your team. So I hope that's been helpful. And I'm looking forward to seeing you expanding and seeing your baby growing even bigger and better. So it's great. So as I said, you know, if people like to just comment, if you're in business, say yes, and how long you've been in business. If you're not in business but you're thinking about it, then just say thinking, because it'd really be useful to see, well, is this level of information right for you, or is there other information I could be sharing with you that will be spot on, that might give you some hints and tips to enable you to move even quicker? And that's the whole idea, you know, helping you to get your business and your ideas to a level where you're continuously growing. So let me see if there's anything else that I've missed out that I wanted to share with you. So you can actually, we are updating the website at the moment, where you'll see more profiles of those of us who are members of the 12. And if you've seen any of Bradley's broadcasts, you'll know who the 12 are and get a flavour of what we're about. So there's much going on at the moment behind the scenes, new programs coming out. And yeah, we're really, really excited about helping more people do what they want to do what they love, and coming from that heart space. So there's you know, when you're overflowing and there's just so much to share. but we have to bring it out when it's ready, because again, it's, as I was saying before, when you've got your baby grows in stages, and as that baby's growing in different stages, then you pull a bit out, or you pass something on to the next person that's going to take ownership of that part of your baby. So there's so much going on at the moment, but it's all fun and exciting. And I'd say just keep joining, keep sharing, liking, commenting, and actually sending questions in, because I love the idea of business. I love the idea of growth. So where I can help, I'm in my element then when I can help. And this will be my last one. So one of the questions that came up today was about work-life balance. And this was the answer that came from Holly, who started Not on the High Street, was an interesting answer, because what she said was that for her, what she does is her life, because it's become an integral part of her, and she loves what she does. And her husband's involved in the business, her 13-year-old son's involved in the business, her sister's involved in the business, and she just loves business. So she'll go on holiday, meet somebody on the beach, and starts talking business with them. And she's then got them with their business plan and their business ideas. And to her, that's fun on the beach, whereas her husband's there lying back sunning himself. So again, for yourself, what's your balance? What brings you alive? What makes you feel that you've got it just right? And are you doing that? And how much of that are you doing, so that you're enjoying your work, you're enjoying your rewards, and you're feeling that your whole self is showing up? So I'm going to leave you with that thought for tonight, and just ponder that, and keep pondering that during the course of the week. So this week, I like to give challenges. So this week, my challenge to you is, what is it that you do that makes you feel whole? And how much of it are you doing? And how can you ensure that you're doing that all the time? So every day there's something that you feel, yes, I'm alive and my life is good. And yes, I'm a Pollyanna, so I will say that. So I just want to say thank you for joining today. It's been a pleasure to be here with you. And you've been with me on Inspire to Achieve Global TV, and we were in the Executive Suite. It's such a pleasure to be here. And thank you for liking, thank you for sharing, thank you for your comments. And if you watch us on the replay, thank you, and I hope that you get loads of value. And Marcia and Jacqueline, you've both said thank you, and you are more than welcome. I said, I'm in my element now because I love ideas, I love growth. So where I can help, then that's me in my wholeness. So I thank you for taking the time out to be with me this evening. And I look forward to catching up with everyone on Friday evening at 8:00, right back here in the Executive Suite. So have an awesome week. Do the things you love. Get great progress. Do it with great passion. And let's explore all the possibilities that are there for you. So have a fabulous evening, and I will see you again on Friday. Take care and bye for now.